Let's talk about timing in Battletech. Firing weapons, when to fire, how to fire, and the pacing of them. Now, jumping into this Tactica, and I might not be the best person to offer this particular tactical advice because I go for tabletop glory. I push heat like crazy. I'll take those risks, but I do understand the risks involved. So I am able to kind of back my player personality a little bit and really present it to you as a fellow mech warrior for the new mech warriors out there, right? To really be aware of this and let it influence your play style, or at least think about how to utilize it. So that's the first aspect. Heat management is important. If you don't have heat management, this idea of pacing is going to fall apart really fast. Second, it depends on the mech, not only with heat sinks, but the weapons available. Obviously, if I'm running a light bug mech, I've got a wasp or I've got a locust, I'm not going to overheat. I'm just going to be blasting every turn. But if I'm usually the heavier type mechs, and there's some that run cool, but if I'm running something like a Warhammer or a Marauder, or even let's go to Assault class, awesome, one of my favorite mechs, an awesome mech. It's one of my favorite mechs. Blasting all three PPCs, you're going to overload. You're going to have heat issues. So it becomes more challenging the heavier you go. So this idea in Battletech, when do you start, and this is a question, when do you start firing and what do you fire at your opponent? Generally speaking, as soon as a target is in range, I will start shooting at it. Obviously, that's going to be with autocannons, PPCs, LRMs. We're just talking about inner sphere tech right now. We'll leave the clans out, but similar to the clans. The reason why I start firing as soon as I'm in range, I could get lucky. You never know. Could get that headshot. It's Battletech. You never know. But also, from a tactical perspective, everyone has a plan. And as soon as you start raining down a little fire, you start raining down some dice, you're going to find out pretty quick what that plan is. Will they wade through the firepower, increasing it? Will they kind of stop? It doesn't give you a guarantee, but it has the potential to give you some insights. So generally speaking, when I am in range, when you are in range, I will start firing. Now let's just look at the perspective of a mech. I'm going to pull a Marauder for this example because a Marauder has long-range primary weapons, PPCs, autocannon. It's got secondary weapons, medium lasers, and it has them in redundancy, meaning 2 and 2. So when you're in range, I will fire the autocannon or I will fire the PPC. Depending on how far away you are, I need to be aware of how is this mech going to close? How fast is it moving? Because I might need a turn where I'm going to cool down. I want to manage the heat. If you're moving very, very fast at me, maybe there's a mission objective, maybe you're looking to engage my Marauder. As soon as you're in range, do I want to fire off both PPCs? And now, second turn, you're closer. I can only fire one PPC. Well, if you're closer, it'll be easier to hit, and I'm only firing one. Well, if you're closer and it's easier to hit, and maybe I'm standing still because I've got some cover, or I'm in a light forest, or I've got elevation, if I fire both PPCs, because the modifiers are best, now I'm really pushing heat. I'm burning heat. You advance one. Now we're on turn 3. You advance closer. We're in medium laser range, or your weapons are now in range, and I'm burning on the heat, and I'm like thinking I'm going to shut down. So pacing is important. As soon as you're in range, I will fire. If you're looking to close, I'll probably fire one PPC or the autocannon. Wait. Let's have you close a little further. Then I'll hit you with both. So you need to kind of look at where they're moving. If it's the type of thing where we're going to be standing off for a little bit, because don't forget I can move backwards. Maybe you're not moving as forward as fast. Maybe there's a river separating us, and it's going to take you a little bit to wade through it. Maybe there's elevation issues. Then we get into what's called chain fire, or I call it chain fire. You'll give it your own term in Battletech, where if it's going to take a few turns for you to close the distance to, say, short range and now bring everything to bear, I'll fire one PPC that first turn, or maybe two. Well, probably one. Then second turn, I'll fire two. Then I'll fire one. Then I'll fire two. So, and you can see this with the Awesome, or you can see this with other mechs where, you're firing two, then one, two, then one. So you're building heat, you're lowering heat. You're building heat, you're lowering heat. But what you're looking to do is every turn, consistent fire. Every turn, stuff is shooting. It's chained. Every turn, dice are being put down on the table, as opposed to I fire everything, I'm overheating, and now a turn or two, I'm doing nothing. That's especially dangerous if you're closing. So I'm keeping track of this. And this is for all the kind of bands. If we close really, really close, so now we're like, 3 hexes away, I'm not going to fire those PPCs. I'm going to be using, if we're talking about the Marauder, I'm going to be using the medium lasers. But in firing those medium lasers to keep the heat down, every now and then I might just fire a PPC. Yes, I've got negative range modifiers and it generates heat, but it is something else to hit. It causes some damage. So you might chain the opposite way where you're controlling your heat and you're keeping consistent firepower, but every now and then you'll throw in something less optimal because it is Battletech. It's a war game. Anytime you roll dice, look, anything could happen. I fired a longbow point blank, one hex away, and I was running and they're running, and it's like you need like 11s and 12s to hit, and I connected on 220 packs. I just connected point blank right in that mech. So the first thing is we stopped the game, and my opponent's like, "What the heck just happened?" And I'm like, "I don't know what happened, man, but I'm glad I hit you, but I just wasted 2 12s, man. I'd rather have that, to hit. I'd rather have that on the damage location chart, or I'd rather utilize that for something else. Like, damn, I just blew my 12s in the game right here. But look, I'll take that hit because we're really, really close, and all I've got is a bunch of long-range missiles. I mean, I had a T-bolt just, coming up from the side to support also, so I was okay. I went for the tabletop glory. I will always take the shot. I probably should have just not taken the shot and managed heat. But anyway, the point is looking to see when you shoot, better to be shooting something consistently every turn. 2-1 or 3-2, 3-2, or 2-1, 2-1. Then, here's 2-3, nothing. 2-3, nothing. Better to have consistent dice on the table, consistent firepower. Being aware, though, what's around, how's it closing? Because I don't want to be blasting away, not cooling down or not maintaining fire discipline. And now 2 mechs are right on top of me, 2 hexes away. And they've got a brace of medium lasers, SRM 6-packs. And I've got, nothing to counter, nothing to follow up with. So understanding, exploring, pacing. And finally to realize this becomes it's an important skill with some medium mechs. It is a critical skill with assault and heavy mechs. Stalker pilots are like, absolutely. And light mechs for the most part, except for the odd mech that's out there that wants to have the weapons and believe that it's a medium mech. For the most part, light mechs, heat management is not an issue because, they've got a medium laser and they've got something else. So you always take the shots no matter what's happening. Although, something like a Jenner actually can generate a tremendous amount of heat. Understanding that, exploring that, new mech warriors to the game, understand your pacing. Understand when to shoot, how to shoot. And I'm going to exit this with a question for my fellow mech warriors, the veterans out there. Tabletop glory aside, the mechs in range, do you always take at least a shot? I'm not talking about like empty all your LRM, LRM packs on it. But if it's in range, maybe I'll fire off a 5-pack or a 20-pack or 2 5s or a 20 and a 5, right? Minimal heat management. As soon as you're in range, do you take the shot or do you wait?